Landscape architecture is everything that is not a building, everything that's outside a building. So it can be urban, rural, it's public realm, public squares, public gardens, private spaces. It can be out in the countryside, it can be on the seaside.
Landscape architecture to me is designing public open spaces with live organic materials that will continue to develop and grow throughout your life.
Landscape architecture is a fantastic profession. It encompasses many things, all aspects of arts and science, and it's a great profession, and everyone can find their own place within it.
Landscape architecture, I would say, is designing and planning the environment, both physically and psychologically, for the betterment of humanity.
Let's say it's a means to make day-to-day life for everyone a little bit better.
Landscape architecture, I would say, is the design of all outdoor spaces, anything that's not a building. So it can range from city plazas to parks to streets to cities. It's how everything's put together and shaped.
Landscape architecture, I would say, is designing the external environment, which could be in cities or it could be very rural, it could be landscape reclamation. It covers a huge range of different types of places and the shaping of those places.
We are almost landscape engineers in a way, but it's informed by art and by culture as well. So that's the interesting thing about landscape architecture. We're a true mix of elements coming together.
The landscape profession is the profession of the future. There are huge opportunities to explore a huge variety of careers within the profession.
There's another specialism within landscape, and that's landscape scientists. And they have obviously a very scientific understanding and history and experience. But for example, we have landscape scientists who are ecologists, and they will help advise us on our schemes or our designs, and will bring in a whole new aspect about ecology and how we should be designing, and guidance for animals and vertebrates and flora and fauna, which may be significant for a scheme.
We're not ecologists, but ecology is a very important part of what we do. But if you meld that with soil science, with horticulture and agronomy in various blends, and there are lots of ways you can blend these together, then you're starting to approach what is a landscape scientist.
If you're passionate about plants, for you landscape architecture can be designing with plants. If you're passionate about creating habitats, then you can work with ecologists and be part of that sort of element of things. So I think it's very difficult to put a label on landscape architecture, and maybe that's why it's such an alluring sort of profession, because it can be all things to all people within the overarching umbrella of it being about our environment, and that is what's so important.
Landscape covers both town and country. We are as concerned about the natural resources of our countryside and moving towards a multifunctional countryside with huge public benefits, and we're right at the forefront of identifying what those public benefits are, as well as the determination of urban spaces and urban living and how we sustain and manage our urban environments.
I mean, I've always considered that landscape architecture was a profession where you don't stop learning. It's not something where you leave college and then start doing the job. I'm always, finding out new things and how, what do I do in this job and how do I tackle that job.
One of the wonderful things is the fact that you're designing a space that quite often, if it's a public space, you're not 100% sure who is going to be using that space. So it's a real challenge as a designer to see and consider all the different people that might use that space. So that's one of the great things in the design sense, is the challenge of who's going to use it at the end of the day. And the buzz, the great thing about it is when a scheme's completed and you see people using that space, be it a town centre square, a country park or a cycle route, And you've had a key role in providing a facility that people are using in their leisure time, that's their downtime. And that's the great thing about landscape architecture, that we're providing that breathing space at the end of the day when you're out there enjoying yourself. That's the sort of space we're generally involved in the design.
The way we choose to manage our land, the way we choose to develop and settle on our land, now and in the future, will be determined by the landscape profession. So these are very, very exciting times for anybody thinking about coming into the landscape profession.